Please turn to page 399. This is our section in our revising and editing chapter where we will learn in detail how students can revise and edit their papers for organization and ideas, also known as organization and content. We'll begin with a sample lesson so you can see how this activity works for any genre. Notice behind me, I have a sample piece of writing with a bookmark next to it. The students and I walk through the steps of how to circle and code all the different parts of, and in this case, informative explanatory writing. On this side of the wall, this opinion essay using the bookmark to check to make sure that it was organized and all the necessary content or ideas were in place for an opinion. These could be displayed up on your wall to remind them how they circle and label the parts for their particular types of papers. Or you could organize your tools in a revise and editing toolkit so that you can have every tool in one place. In this particular case, if you are editing and revising for organization and ideas, you would have all the different bookmarks for the different types of papers students write. When they are editing and revising for a particular paper, for instance, edit and revise informative explanatory essay, so we would take out that particular bookmark, place it next to our paper in order for us to circle and code all the different parts of the paper to check to see that it's organized and has the necessary content in it. Let's go to the next pages. You see a bookmark for informative explanatory writing at the essay level. This bookmark displays our stick person because we always have our introduction, body, conclusion in our informational writing, and then it has the necessary elements required for an informative explanatory essay. On the facing page is the piece of informative writing that we are going to use to circle and code the parts. On the side, I'll take notes so that you can follow along, see the steps in order to use this bookmark. Our first step is to circle the introduction and then the conclusion. And what's left? The body. We have our introduction. We need to circle it. It could be 1 or 2 paragraphs. How do we decide if it's 1 or 2 paragraphs? What is the content in that part of our paper? Hook in the reader, introduce the big idea, that's the thesis statement using SS Lightbulb, and add a description if our reader doesn't know enough about the subject. There's definitely going to be a hook, there's definitely going to be a big idea or thesis statement, but a description is optional. In order to circle the introduction correctly, we need to find out if it's 1 or 2 paragraphs. How do we do that? Introduction, body, conclusion, paragraph 1. Hook in the reader, the bottom should be the big idea. If it's not, include paragraph 2. Paragraph 1, hook in the reader. Paragraph 2 begins with the big idea and then ends with a description. So we have to go to our paper, look at paragraph 1, last sentence. When we look at the last sentence, if it's not a big idea, go to the second paragraph. Where will the big idea start in the second paragraph? In the first sentence. What's below the first sentence? A description. I go to my paper. Here's our first paragraph. Hoo-hoo! Why do owls have the reputation for being wise? These birds should be known for their hunting abilities. In the deep dark forest, the owl uses its different body parts to catch its prey. There's our first paragraph. What do I need to do? Check to see this last sentence is the big idea. I'm the writer checking for my content and organization. I know what needs to be in the big idea. In the deep dark forest, there's my setting. The owl, there's my subject, uses its different body parts to catch its prey. There's my big idea. So this whole paper is about what? An owl and how it uses its body parts to catch its prey. That is what this paper is about, and it's the last sentence of the first paragraph. So what do I need to do? I need to go back and circle that first paragraph because I know that's going to be the introduction. Then I go to the last paragraph and I circle that, and I know that's the conclusion. All the other paragraphs in the middle are the body. We have our introduction, and in order to identify whether our introduction was 1 or 2 paragraphs, we found the big idea. It was 1 paragraph, because if the big idea is at the end of the first paragraph, then we know it started with a hook and ended with the big idea, the thesis statement. It doesn't need a description. The next paper that we go into after this activity I will show you an example of 2 paragraphs for an introduction so that you can see the difference. Next, we're going to grab a green pencil to code the text. Label for a hook, SS light bulb, description, if there is one, main ideas, the details in the body, our conclusion statement, and our snappy ending. Our first step was circling the parts. Our second step is code all the parts. Let's look at our introduction. We're going to label a hook. We want to grab that reader's attention. Hoo-hoo! Why do owls have the reputation for being wise? These birds should be known for their hunting abilities. Draw a hook up here on our first couple of sentences. The last sentence was already labeled, and I'm going to put green on that to show that I'm going back and identifying and coding that part of the text. Is our setting in the deep dark forest, subject the owl, and our big idea is that the owl has different body parts to catch its prey. I've labeled all the parts of my introduction, and I know that I have those necessary parts, a hook and a big idea. But there was no description this time because my reader knows what an owl is. Let's code the body of our paper. Notice it says on the bookmark, MI. That's for main ideas. And it shows MI underlined. We're in our body, and what does our body have? It has main idea paragraphs that are going to be all about that big idea, the thesis statement. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 main ideas. How do we know that? We're counting the number of paragraphs. A paragraph is a group of sentences about one main idea. After we identify that there's 4 paragraphs, 4 main ideas, then we're going to underline the first sentence in each paragraph. When we underline the first sentence in each paragraph, that does not mean that it is the main idea. We're going to read those sentences to see, is this a main idea about the thesis statement? So let's recall what the thesis statement is about. It's about an owl using its different body parts to catch its prey. So these paragraphs should be about the owl's body parts and how it uses them to catch its prey. So we go to the first sentence. The owl has very large eyes that are positioned close together on its flat face. What is this sentence about? The owl's eyes, and that is a body part. I'm going to record eyes here. I'm not reading on in this paragraph. I'm jumping to the next main idea. So look, I'm just looking for the main ideas. I go to the first sentence in my second paragraph. The tufts of the feathers at the top of the owl's head look like ears, but they are not. Oh, so what is this about? It's about not the tufts. It's telling us that it's about its ears. So my first paragraph were about the eyes. My second paragraph is about the ears. So is that a body part it uses to catch its prey? Yes. I go to the next paragraph. The owl's fringe-like feathers enable it to quietly soar and swoop, searching and attacking small creatures scurrying in the darkness. So this is about the owl's feathers. And finally, we go to the last paragraph in the body, our fourth main idea, and that is the owl has sharp pointed talons it uses to grasp and kill its prey that it then swallows whole. We know this is about its talons, its pointy claws. Eyes, ears, feathers, talons. All of those are different body parts it uses to catch its prey. And look how powerful this is for reading comprehension. If I'm reading someone else's paper, right away I can find that main idea, that thesis statement, check those main idea paragraphs by just reading the beginning of each to get a big picture of what the whole paper is about and to organize it in my head. Just like we're doing that to check for organization and ideas for our own piece of writing. Once we've underlined the first sentence in each one of our body paragraphs, read it to make sure that it is a main idea, recorded a key word to say what that main idea is about, then we're going to go back and we're going to code for details. Notice the D has a number sign next to it. We are going to number each sentence after our main ideas. Go to the first paragraph. Here's the sentence that was underlined. That's our main idea. Every sentence after this, we're going to number as a detail. Does that mean that each individual sentence is its own individual detail? No, but We need a way for our kids to get into the papers so they can do this on their own. The steps that I'm showing you are steps that students can master and use on their own. We're going to number each sentence after the main idea and label it a detail. We number our first sentence, D1. We're going through, we find our next sentence, D2. We go and find our next, D3, and finally our D4. There's 4 detailed sentences in this main idea paragraph. We go underneath I's and we write 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to read each, use either a keyword or a couple of keywords or a simple drawing in order to identify what each sentence is about, and then record that underneath the main idea. We have the large eyes enable the owl to pull in more light so it can see not only during the day, but at night as well. Who or what is this sentence about? It's about the owl's large eyes, that it pulls in light so it can see during the, and I'll put like a sun and a moon, so it can see during day and night. Let's go to the second sentence. The owl's flat face means this bird can only see what is in front of it. So I'm going to show a flat face and how it can only see in front of it. Luckily, the owl can swivel its head almost all the way around. So I'm going to just show a line where I can swivel. It moves its head to spot animals in front and behind. So I'm going to show the head and how it can see behind and in front because it can swivel. Once I've recorded keywords and simple icons that represent each one of these detailed sentences, next I need to look at this information to make sure that it is organized. Do I need to put it in a different sequence? And is this content about the eyes and how the eyes are used for hunting prey? I'm checking for content and organization at the detail level. Let's walk through that process. This is about the eyes to catch prey. It takes in light so it can see during day and nighttime. Yes, that tells me about how it uses its eyes to catch its prey. It can swivel its head in order for its eyes to see behind and in front of it. These details actually all go together. This is about how the eyes see. This is about how the eyes are big so it can see more during day or night. These 3 details are how the eyes can move to see the prey. This one goes on its own. These 3 goes together. I'm going to ask, are these 3 here that go together, are they sequenced correctly? Yes. The eyes can't move. The head swivels so it can see in front and behind. I'm going to keep these details because they make sense. They're about the eyes and how they use them to hunt their prey. I'm going to go through the next 3 paragraphs and we're going to walk through the same steps. This next paragraph are about ears. We're going to number the sentences after the ears. And notice in this particular case, we have 4 details. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one, the ears are holes on the side of the head. So I'm going to put the head with holes. These holes are asymmetrical. One is higher on the other side of its head than the other. So we're going to redraw those holes and make them asymmetrical. Along with the disc-like front face that captures sound, so I'm going to stop and put that disc showing that it captures sound. Its uneven ears can locate the directions of sound. So I'm going to put the ears uneven and how it can locate. Thus, the owl can hear the slightest sound. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put like a pretend ear, like it's just the tiniest of sound, and identify where it's coming from. Let's go back. What are these details about? This is telling me about the ears and how they're asymmetrical. These 2 go together. These 2 are telling about how it can use its flat face and the asymmetrical ears to hear the slightest sound and locate it. These 2 go together. So now that I can see which details go together, do I need more information? Do I need to add more details? Do I need to switch these around? Are they in the right order? And I look and see that I have enough information and I like the order that they're in. It makes sense to me. We go and do the same thing for feathers. We're just going back and looking at our main idea because we only have 1 detailed sentence. Does this give us any information? It's just telling us that it has fringe-like feathers that it uses to attack its prey. So let's go to this sentence here. Most birds' feathers cause the air to make loud, rushing sound as they fly. Most birds are going to be loud when they fly. But the owl's cone-like shaped winged edges quiets that noise. Enable the owl to quietly soar as it's hunting for its prey. That's a detail that's on its own. Do we need to add more information? No, it gave enough information there. It was a short and sweet paragraph. Let's go to the next paragraph. We have our main idea sentence, and then we have one detail sentence. So again, let's go over here and read it. If the creature is too large, so the creature that the owl is catching, the owl then uses its pointy, sharp beak to tear it apart into smaller pieces. This was about talons, and now this is telling me about its beak. So let's go back up to the talons. The owl has sharp, pointed talons it uses to grasp and kill its prey. So here's the talons, and it catches its prey, then swallows it whole. That main idea gave us a lot of information about the talons, and this was just expanding, continuing on, saying, well, if that creature's too large, then it's going to tear it apart into smaller pieces using its smaller beak. So this is about the talons and also about the beak, and those were put together. And it does make sense, so I'm okay with that. So look how we're reading, analyzing, and identifying main ideas, details, to see if the information needs to stay, if it needs to be put in a different order, if it doesn't make sense, if I need to add more information, and we're doing that through underlining the main ideas and numbering the details, then listing that on the side in the columns. We have at this point coded our introduction, coded our main ideas. Next, we need to go to the conclusion. The conclusion is repeating the big idea using different words and the snappy ending, telling us the importance of this information. The conclusion paragraph will always begin by repeating the thesis statement using different words. We know that we can go to that conclusion paragraph and underline the first sentence. And it may take a couple of sentences, but the conclusion paragraph will start repeating the big idea of the paper, that thesis statement. Then the sentences after that will be the snappy ending, why this paper is so important. I underline this bird of prey has specialized body parts to make it a deadly hunter. I need to code subject, big idea. I go back up to the subject in the thesis statement, the owl. Did I say the owl here but use different words? This bird of prey. Oh, there's my subject. Let me go up to my big idea. It has different body parts it uses to catch its prey. Let's go down here. Has specialized body parts to make it a deadly hunter. Excellent. There's our big idea. So we have repeated this thesis statement in our conclusion, but we've used different words. Next, we're going to look at that snappy ending. The challenge is on. This unique bird needs a new title. Mighty Hunter, Not Wise Owl. There's our snappy ending, and that snappy ending is giving your reader a new point of view, a new idea, or telling why this information is important. And we're showing a new idea. Hey, don't just call him a wise owl, call him a mighty hunter. We use this bookmark to circle and code all the parts of our informational paper, checking to see that your paper is organized and you have all the ideas or content that's necessary for the particular genre that you are writing. The next pages in this section are of all the different genres that your students will write with matching bookmarks. I already have them circled and labeled. We will just go through and I will give you information about each bookmark and how you use them to circle and code all the parts of each particular genre. I highly suggest that you make these bookmarks part of your process of writing with your students. When you finish writing a particular genre, bring out the matching bookmark to show them how that is connecting directly to their plan and how the bookmark is showing them this is what you planned for, you wrote it out, let's make sure that you have all these elements in place and they're organized and they make sense. Do we need to add more information? Do we need to take something out? These are the questions you ask as you're analyzing for organization and content. But what I really suggest is that you make this part of your whole writing process. As you're introducing a genre, you end it with the revise and edit bookmarks. And eventually, your students should independently, before you even review their paper, be able to circle and label the parts, where we're looking at the entire text that students have written, and we're checking for the content and is it organized.